Picture this, you're Felipe Massa. You've just crossed the line at Interlagos, won your home Grand Prix, and for 38.9 seconds, you are the Formula One world champion. The Ferrari garage erupts, your mechanics are in tears, your father is sobbing in the grandstand, and the Brazilian crowd is celebrating like 17 years of waiting has finally ended.
It's me, back in position again, 100,000 local heart.
But then comes the twist. In the final corner of the final lap, Lewis Hamilton squeezes past Timo Glock's helpless Toyota on slick tyres in the rain. That single move flips the championship.
2008 Formula One world champion, Lewis Hamilton.
Massa goes from hero to heartbreak, while Hamilton becomes the youngest world champion in F1 history by just 1 point. Welcome to November 2nd, 2008, the most devastating 39 seconds in motorsport history. But this wasn't just about a dramatic last lap. It was the culmination of scandals, rain chaos, and impossible strategy calls that could only have happened in that exact race, under those exact circumstances. Today, we'll unpack the $100 million spy scandal that almost stopped this title fight before it began, the weather twist that turned the race into a lottery, and the split-second decisions that made Brazil 2008 the most unforgettable finale F1 has ever seen. Let me put you into context. To grasp the magnitude of Brazil 2008, you need to know Lewis Hamilton almost didn't make it there. Not for injury or poor performance, but because McLaren had been caught in the biggest cheating scandal in F1 history. Earlier that year, they were found with 780 pages of Ferrari secrets.
Technician was raided back in July and 780 pages of Ferrari information were found. Enough.
Expect and don't be surprised if you're half a second behind Fernando in the first race.
Designs, setups, strategies, everything short of Enzo's pasta recipe. The price? A $100 million fine and exclusion from the Constructors' Championship. Hamilton, innocent of the scandal, suddenly carried the weight of his team's tarnished reputation while chasing his first world title. On the other side, Felipe Massa was Ferrari's hope, racing not just for himself, but for Brazil, a nation still waiting for its first champion since Senna in 1991. The math was simple. Hamilton led by 7 points. Massa had to win, and Hamilton had to finish 6th or lower. Possible, but only with the gods of motorsport on your side. And in Sao Paulo, those gods were about to stage the most dramatic finale in F1 history. The weekend began with pure Brazilian optimism. The sun was blazing, the grandstands were packed, and Felipe Massa looked like a man on a mission. In practice, he was untouchable. Every bump, every braking zone, every camber at Interlagos was second nature. This was his backyard, and he was driving it like a private playground. Qualifying only fueled the dream. Massa put the Ferrari on pole, Hamilton slotted into 4th. The local press didn't hold back. Headlines were already crowning Massa as world champion.
Is Felipe Massa the rightful 2008 Formula One world champion?
The atmosphere in Sao Paulo was electric, almost certain that this was destiny. But in F1, destiny always has an enemy. And in Brazil, it's the weather. November in Sao Paulo is notoriously unpredictable. Forecasts showed a 60% chance of rain, which in F1 language is basically a guarantee of chaos. Ferrari made a bold call, set Massa's car up for dry conditions, betting the weather would hold. McLaren, more cautious, gave Hamilton a balanced setup, a hedge against uncertainty. Looking back, it feels prophetic. At the time, it just looked conservative. As the teams prepped on Sunday morning, the tension was unbearable. No one could know it yet, but Mother Nature was about to deliver one of the most dramatic, chaotic finishes in motorsport history and rewrite F1 forever. November 2nd, 2008. 2 o'clock in Sao Paulo. The formation lap begins under heavy skies, and you can almost feel the tension through the TV. Massa waves confidently to the crowd, a man carrying Brazil's hopes on his shoulders. Hamilton looks calm, but underneath, he knows history is at stake. Lights out. The track is damp, slippery enough to punish mistakes, but not wet enough for intermediates. The worst possible scenario. Massa launches perfectly, exactly what Ferrari needed, while Hamilton slips back to 6th. Suddenly, the title fight is in real danger. And here's the twist. In 2008, drivers didn't have live championship dashboards or constant position updates. Hamilton was driving blind, unsure if he was safe or if his title was slipping away. The pressure was unbearable. Every corner could decide the championship. For the first half of the race, Ferrari's script held firm. Massa led, Hamilton struggled, and the Brazilian crowd roared with belief that their 17-year wait for a champion was about to end. On the McLaren pit wall, the mood was grim, almost funereal. Then came the first drops of rain around lap 35. Not heavy, but enough to turn strategy into pure chaos. The slick track became a lottery, and suddenly the championship fight transformed from a calculated numbers game into survival at 180 miles per hour. When the rain finally came at Interlagos, it didn't arrive politely. This was São Paulo rain, starting as a light mist before quickly turning the track into a skating rink. Within just a few laps, the surface went from tricky to treacherous. Now strategy became a mix of science, gambling, and outright faith. Do you stay on slicks and hope the rain eases, or pit for intermediates and risk losing track position? Ferrari, with Massa leading comfortably, chose to stay out. It was logical. Why sacrifice a lead when the championship math was already in your favour? McLaren saw it differently. With Hamilton down in 6th, they had nothing to lose. On lap 58, they rolled the dice and brought him in for intermediates. The effect was immediate. Grip, stability, confidence. Hamilton suddenly looked like a different driver. Lap after lap, he cut through the field. 5th, 4th, then 3rd. Every pass meant more points, and every point shifted the balance of the championship back his way. The McLaren pit wall went from despair to hope in minutes, sensing their gamble might just pay off. But this was Interlagos, and nothing is ever that simple. The rain kept falling, the track kept changing, and Ferrari still had one last card to play. What followed would set up the most dramatic finale the sport had ever seen. With 10 laps to go, the rain intensified, and slick tyres became almost useless. Even Massa, with home advantage and championship fire, was skating around. Ferrari finally made the call. They pitted him for intermediates. It cost track position, but it was the only way to survive. That stop reshuffled the order. Hamilton climbed into 4th, the exact position he needed to take the title. On paper, everything balanced perfectly. Massa leading the race, Hamilton clinging to the championship. But then came the twist. Some drivers, including Toyota's Timo Glock, gambled everything by staying on slicks. As the track got wetter, Glock's Toyota became a handful, yet he was still running inside the points. It looked like a sideshow, but it was quietly setting up the finale. With 5 laps remaining, Massa regained the lead, and the Brazilian crowd exploded with belief. He was doing everything right, leading his home Grand Prix, about to deliver Ferrari another world title. Hamilton, meanwhile, sat 4th, hanging onto his championship hopes by a single thread. It seemed set. Massa the hero, Hamilton the champion. But Glock, struggling just to keep his car pointed straight, was about to turn those final laps into the most dramatic ending Formula One had ever seen. Lap 71 of 71. Felipe Massa crosses the line first, winning his home Grand Prix. The Ferrari pit wall sees Hamilton running 6th, and the math is clear. Massa is world champion by a single point. For 38.9 unforgettable seconds, the dream is real. His father weeps in the stands, his mechanics embrace, and the crowd erupts like Brazil has been waiting 17 years to do. But further back, Hamilton is still fighting. Ahead of him, Timo Glock is tiptoeing around on slick tyres, his Toyota sliding helplessly on the soaked track. With everything on the line, Hamilton closes in. And then, in the final corner of the final lap of the final race, history flips. Hamilton dives past Glock into 5th place. That one move, that one point, changes everything.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
Oh my goodness me! Hamilton's back in position again. 100,000 local hearts sink in the grandstand. It's handed the place back to Hamilton, that he is going to claim 5th place, which is all than 8. Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton finishes the season with 98 points to Massa's 97, stealing the championship by the smallest possible margin. The emotional whiplash is brutal. In the Ferrari garage, joy turns instantly to silence. Massa's family goes from tears of triumph to tears of heartbreak. The Brazilian fans are stunned, as if the ground itself has shifted beneath them. Over the McLaren radio comes the message, "Lewis, you are the world champion." Hamilton can barely believe it. What? Are you sure? The disbelief is real, because the greatest title fight in modern F1 had just been decided in the very last corner. Brazil 2008 left ripple effects still felt in F1 today. It cemented Lewis Hamilton as a champion who could thrive under crushing pressure, while Felipe Massa became defined by how agonizingly close he came to greatness. The race showed what makes Formula One special. Beyond technology and strategy, it's still human drama and split-second decisions that decide titles. No computer could have predicted Timo Glock's tyre gamble would swing a world championship. And what makes it even more legendary it could never happen again. With today's point system, qualifying rules and advanced forecasting, the perfect storm of Brazil 2008 is essentially impossible to repeat. Brazil 2008 stands as the perfect example of why we love Formula One. It combined political intrigue, strategic gambles, weather chaos, and human drama into a finale that Hollywood couldn't have scripted better. It proved that in a sport where thousandths of a second matter, sometimes the most important moments happen in the space between heartbeats. The next time someone tells you that modern F1 is too predictable or boring, remind them of November 2nd, 2008. Remind them of Felipe Massa's 38.9 seconds as world champion. Remind them that in F1, absolutely anything can happen until the checkered flag falls. And if this deep dive into one of F1's greatest moments has rekindled your appreciation for the sport's capacity for drama, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments which F1 race you think deserves the full storytelling treatment. Because in a sport with over 70 years of history, there are enough incredible stories to keep us busy for decades. After all, you never know when the next Brazil 2008 might be just around the corner.